listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Brandon Elliott. I'm excited. We got Jason in the house, not in the house, but virtually in the house. And it doesn't.
I'm in a house.
He's in a house right now, which is good. Over in Austin, Texas, originally from SoCal area, which makes me feel warm and fuzzy because I'm from New Jersey originally, but I live out here in San Diego, his hometown. So that's cool. But more importantly, why we're really here is not for the location, but because this guy's been coaching and mentoring property management companies to become the best version of themselves within this company, within their companies, to really be able to serve with excellence within the property management real estate division. And so been doing this since 2008, which is crazy timing too. Want to talk about that. But comes from a background of, family members, father, brother, wife, family, doing property management, having a portfolio, having real estate, and having to manage tenants and so forth. And yeah, I think this is just going to be a hell of a juicy podcast for everybody that has real estate, for everybody that wants to outsource, elevate, and delegate. Or if you are a property management company right now and you realize with full transparency that you're not playing full out with the right level of excellence, then this is for you, my friend. All right. So tune in. There's going to be a lot of gold nuggets. Jason, welcome to the podcast. For anybody out there that doesn't know who you are, where you're from, your background, do you mind just giving that 10,000 foot view for me and the listeners?
Yeah. So first, Brandon, thanks for having me on the show. Excited to be here.
Yeah.
I love the title, Ready, Set, Go.
Yeah, come on.
So let's do this. So yeah, a high level view. My name is Jason Hull. I'm the CEO and founder of DoorGrow. We coach and consult property management companies throughout the U.S. We run the world's leading coaching and mastermind program for long-term residential property managers. We coach people that do other types of management sometimes, but that's our bread and butter. And we're really good at helping them figure out how to grow and scale their business without wasting a lot of money on digital marketing and without having to get stuck in their business, and helping them to figure out how to offload, scale operations, and make sure that they're able to deliver a really good product and service. So
I love this. Give me some stats. You've been doing this since 2008.
Yeah.
How many companies roughly have you helped? And I'm kind of just curious, the passion in general, how this even began.
So, man, these are vanity metrics, right? So we've made millions of dollars helping. We've rebranded over 322 companies last I checked. We've built websites for hundreds more than that. We've coached and consulted hundreds of property management companies. I've talked personally to thousands of property management business owners. And over the last decade and a half, I noticed patterns. And so I started to codify these patterns, different faces, but sort of the same sort of situations and problems. I started noticing patterns with certain door counts, levels, team members, challenges, stuff in the business. And I actually mapped out this whole roadmap of how to scale from 0 to 1,000 doors quickly as a property management company. And we codified it. And I think we have the most comprehensive program on the planet. And our secret sauce is we have a really innovative planning system in our business, and that allows us to innovate and iterate way faster than any of our competitors. And we have more testimonials, case studies on YouTube than any other coach or consultant in the space, hands down.
I love it. Question, is this only for long-term or is short-term? Do you coach anybody with that as well or no?
So our main target audience are the long-term management companies. That's who comes to us for help typically. Yeah. But a lot of them will also do short-term. Sometimes they're in markets where the short-term, we do get some clients that just do short-term. They need to figure out how to get investors, how to get more third-party doors. They need to figure out how to dial in operations. But But yeah, property management for short term is a very different business model. They think they're in the business of property management when they're actually probably honestly in the business of cleaning talent acquisition.
Hospitality and so forth.
Right. It's a little bit different. And that's the biggest challenge for them is just cleaning talent and getting the turns done quickly.
Sure.
And so short term's a little bit of a different game where it's hours instead of days, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, we have clients that do it, but our main focus is long-term residential.
Okay. And you help out, your avatar is nationwide?
Yeah, we've got clients all over the US and beyond. We've got some Canadian clients in the program right now, and I'm sure eventually maybe we'll get some other English-speaking countries. I don't know. If you're in the UK or Australia, hit us up. Let's work something out.
Hit us up. I love it. And then, so when it comes down to the size of properties, what does that look like? Do you work with somebody that's managing just one rental property, or is it, 4 units and above, bigger property units? What does that look like?
Yeah. So what type of units do they have? I mean, it ranges from anything from, single family homes to condos to some of our clients do association management, which is a little bit different. But yeah, it could be small multi a lot of times. Generally not a ton of large multifamily situations, but yeah, mostly small multi and single family homes.
Okay, gotcha. All right, before I jump into just riddling off more and more questions, how did we get even started here? Like 2008, the world's collapsing when it comes down to real estate. The stock market's dropping. What got you to be like, hey, let me start a property management company?
Well, I didn't start a property management company. So I started a web design company. And so my brother decided to start a property management company. He bought into a franchise around that same time. And he was fresh out of college. He had his degree. His best friend and him decided to start a property management business. So they went and bought a franchise. They got some sort of okay website from corporate. And he came to me because I just started my web design business and had a degree in marketing. And he was like, Jason, how could I improve this website? Because this doesn't seem to be very effective. And the biggest call to action on the page was like pay rent online, which is not their target audience. That's focused on tenants, right? And they want to get more owners, landlords, like people they can manage for. And so I asked him questions. I'm like, who do you want more of? Like, I want more investors. I'm like, okay, well then why is pay rent your biggest call to action? He's like, I don't know. So I was like, okay, so it just seemed really obvious to me. So I'm like, make these changes, like change this, answer the question, like why choose us, put a bullet list there, like really basic stuff. I'm like, go do that. So he'd made those changes. He's like, could you just build me a website? Just build me something better. I still don't like it. And I'm like, okay. So I built him a website, and then he went to his franchise sort of event or something with a bunch of other franchisees, and they're talking about their stuff. And he's like, well, here's my website and I'm doing this. And this has been working well. And then all of them were like, I want what he has. I don't want what corporate gave me. So then we started getting all of these franchisees, and some of these guys had like 6,000 doors, 3,000 doors. Like, so I think one had 8,000. I'm like, whoa, these are amazing. Like they have lots of money. They have thousands of doors. Property managers are great. And that's not the reality of the industry totally, but that was my perception at that moment and at that time. And we started doing websites for people all over the US, part of that franchise. We started getting really amazing backlinks because these were pretty well established businesses. Then we're ranking on Google for property management web design. Then we started getting clients from all over the US. And eventually it turned into coaching pretty quickly, because the reason people want a website is they're hoping it gives them business. And websites in and of themselves don't just create business super effectively, especially in an industry that has very little search volume on the internet. Yeah. Not a lot of people are looking for property management. And that's the dirty secret marketers in my industry don't want to tell people, is that you can go on Google Trends, search for property management, and Google Trends is a system that shows you Google sort of data, and you can backdate it to 2004 to the present. So like 2 decades worth of data. Property management search volume has not gone up in 2 decades since Google started tracking data. But competition in that space has gone through the roof. Like there's every big company with thousands of doors is spending thousands of dollars every month. I have a client right now that came to us. They have 6,000 units. They were spending 30 grand a month on digital marketing, and it wasn't working for them. and they're struggling. And I'm like, you just need to get salespeople in each market that pick up the phone. Let's guerrilla marketing this, because there's tons of available potential business out there for property managers. There's no scarcity. 60% are self-managing in this industry, and they shouldn't be, because they're not good at it and they don't enjoy it. Yeah. And it's not a hard sell. And a lot of them didn't even raise rent in the last 2 or 3 years. And so they might be well below 10%, rent, what they could be getting. And so a property manager would be free if they just raise the rent, and then they don't have to do any of it themselves. And the property manager, if they get a good one, is better at this than they are, and they have better systems.
It's crazy pointing out some of these facts right now. It's, you hear some of the horror stories with finding the wrong property management company, right? And that's
probably... Well, most suck.
Yeah.
Most suck in most every market.
And that's why you have a business, right? It's
there's no shortage. Yeah.
You're available to help, really take them to the next level. So your background's really on marketing. However, are you more of a systems guy as well? And do you help them with the CRM? Do you help SOP processes?
We really
focus on growth.
Yeah, for sure. I totally geek out on operations stuff. I like creating systems. I don't like running them, but that's, why we have team members, right? So I like getting to that visionary space of innovating and creating systems. And so we've got some really innovative systems at Dorgo that we help install in our clients' businesses. We have a system we call the super system. And I envisioned it kind of like Voltron or Thundercats, where it's like all these systems that come together and make the ultimate thing. So the super system is really people, planning, and process. And the people system is building out the right hiring mechanism and the right team. And then there's the process system. There's 3 levels to that, to getting that really well dialed in. And then there's the planning system. And if a business has those 3 systems really well dialed in, they become what I call infinitely scalable. They can continually grow at any pace or any speed, and they can hire quickly. They can get people up to speed quickly by onboarding them effectively with their process system. And they have a planning system and cadence. So they're always focused on where the biggest bottleneck is in the business, so that they're focused on the right things instead of wasting time, energy, focus, cash, and effort.
Sure. How many people are on your team right now that help with your company?
Wow. Yeah, we're small but mighty. So I think we have probably about, I'm going to guess, somewhere between 10 to 12 people on the team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, so what does the coaching look like in general? Like the process when somebody enrolls with you and is working, what does that look like?
Yeah. So we've got a really good system. So the coaching itself, we've got 3 different weekly group coaching calls. One class called the Rapid Revamp, where it's like bar rescue for property managers. We're cleaning up their business. We're redoing their branding, their pricing, their sales pitch, their reputation strategy, their actual product, which we call purpose, because nobody really wants to buy property management. What they want is a partner that they can trust. And they are the product, not property management. And so we teach them that. But the Rapid Revamp helps them kind of shore up all the leaks in the hose, so to speak, so that they can water their business. And a lot of times they're just thinking, I just need more leads. I just need to turn on the faucet, but they ignore that pipeline. Yeah. Branding, reputation, website, sales pitch, pricing, all these different elements need to be dialed in. Otherwise it's super leaky. So we focus on that usually first with most clients that come to us. Then we have a program and a class on Wednesday we call the Growth Accelerator. This is where we get into organic or guerrilla marketing style growth engines. Tactics they can use and just pick up the phone or create the right connections or go and network to build their business way faster using warm leads and warm referral type of scenarios, instead of doing cold lead digital marketing, trying to play this game against the biggest companies that are way outspending them.
Yeah.
And so they're able to grow faster by spending way less money and spending way less time. And so we focus on, we call those growth engines. We work on installing different growth engines into their business and coaching the salesperson on their team or the business owner in doing that. And then Fridays, we have an operations class focused on getting their ops stuff dialed in. And then And that's how we run our weekly group coaching calls. We have a Telegram Messenger group. They get direct access to me and my wife, Sarah, who's our COO and a brilliant operator who ran a very efficient property management business. They get access to her through Telegram. My oldest daughter, Maddie, she's our head of client success. They get access to her. She helps them find everything and keep them accountable. And so we've got all that. And then we also have a really amazing onboarding. So the way we onboard people, and this goes for any business, the way you onboard people dictates usually the life of that client, of them staying with you. And so we have a really amazing onboarding process that we've developed over the years. And we onboard every new client in person. So they come out and meet with us in Austin area with Sarah and I, and we sit down with them and we go deep into their business and get to know them and figure out where the quick wins are and help them build out a roadmap for success.
And then, so what does it look like time frame wise working with you typically?
Yeah, so we did away a while ago with having any sort of contract, like annual agreement. Bad vendors usually in the property management industry need 1-year contracts and agreements because either their onboarding sucks or their program sucks or the product sucks. So we've really built out our product and we've really built out our onboarding. And so we trust that. So clients stay with us for years. We have clients that stay with us for a long time. It's month to month and we earn our place as soon as we can. Our goal is to figure out how do we offset the $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 they're spending with us monthly as quick as possible. And when they have like 100 units, 200, 300 units, that's not hard to do. Like we're helping them find just a few dollars more per unit in either cost savings to create more margin or in additional revenue or fees. And so that it's not too difficult for us to create a situation where our program's already paid for and essentially free. Yeah. And from there on out, because property management is a residual income subscription model business, they're making and adding more doors and making more money to where they feel like our program is now paying them.
I like it. And so when it comes down to the biggest learning curve that you see a lot of people coming in initially with, is there a point within the program that it's a common struggle for certain people? I just want to try to get something for the listeners that maybe we could pour into for a moment.
Like what's a common challenge or struggle that they are dealing with?
Yeah.
Well, so one of the big challenges, so I'll share with you a framework I call the cycle of suck in property management. So the cycle of suck is basically that a lot of property managers get into this industry and they start doing advertising. They start doing what marketers tell them to do to try and get business. They're spending a lot of money. They're not getting a lot of ROI. And so they start struggling. The first thing to go is usually customer service if they're not cash flowing effectively and aren't making good decisions financially with their business. And so then they start getting needy and desperate. Thanks, babe. They start getting needy and desperate. And so then they start taking on any client. So here's the cycle of suck. The cycle of suck is that they take on shitty clients. Okay. They take on bad clients. And in any business, if you don't filter and qualify the type of clients you work with, you will have a crappy business. This is universal. You have to qualify clients. You don't want everyone as a client.
Oh yeah.
You have to be picky. And so, but they become not picky. I'm going to take any client I can get because I'm needy and I'm desperate. And needy is creepy in sales. And so they just get the worst clients. And so then because they have crappy clients, that leads to them having crappy properties because these are owners that are like slumlords or they're pushing back on every maintenance request that the property manager says needs to be done. And so the properties now are bad properties. So now they have these difficult properties with high operational costs, these difficult owners with high operational costs. And then they go and try and get tenants. So the next step is they get crappy tenants because even if they do all the tenant screening in the world and the tenant has A-grade credit, if the property is bad because the owner is difficult and bad, the tenant is going to be difficult and frustrated and bad. And so the property manager now has unhappy bad owners, bad properties, and bad tenants. And so the fourth step in the cycle of suck is they get a bad reputation.
Yeah.
And if you have a bad reputation, you're getting bad reviews, then guess what you attract more of? Bad clients, you get the garbage pile at the bottom of the pile, right? You get the worst. And so the challenge is if you have bad reviews, and this really sums up the entire industry in aggregate for property management. Most of them are taking on any client. A lot of them are taking on any property they can get. They have really high operational costs because one bad owner and one bad property could easily be 10 times, maybe even 100 times the amount of work for them as a really good owner and a really good investment in a good property. Yep. And so their operational costs are through the roof. Now they're not profitable. They're struggling to make money and their margins are super slim and they can't afford to get the support and the team they need. And so most property management companies suck. And it's not because the business owners woke up one morning and are like, hey, I want to start a shitty property management company today. That sounds like a really great idea. It's because they fell into this trap of not knowing what they didn't know. Yeah. And they tried to do what they thought everybody else says to do to grow their business. And they tried doing what how everyone else is pricing it. And they made all the same mistakes everybody else is making. And pricing and everything else usually is set according to the shittiest, worst prospects that they get at the end of the sales cycle that are searching on Google. These are the cheapest owners, the worst clients, the most price sensitive. And so this isn't the good stuff you get through word of mouth. This is the crappy scraps that fall off that word of mouth table. And so this is how they're building their portfolios. And they're spending money to get this portfolio built to digital marketers. And so it ends up being this downward spiral. And they end up in this really difficult situation where they've painted themselves into a corner of being a miserable business owner and a miserable business that's too difficult to deal with. And then they reach out to us for help.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't relate more. When I got started in real estate 2015, I was investing 3,000 miles away over in Ohio. And so those properties, eventually, once I started buying them, renovating them and renting them out, I started looking for property management companies and they all just seemed like criminals. Like their reviews were bad. They were stealing money, not paying they weren't keeping good bookkeeping. And it was just like, oh no. So then I felt the need, well, I need to do this now. Yeah, but it's not the best use of my time and expertise. And
that's how most property managers start. Most of them are investors. This is a story I hear every week. Why did you start this business? I had investments. All the property management companies in my market sucked. So I decided to start doing it myself.
Yeah, it's true. And so blessed to say that I did it for 10 years and then just sold off all the properties and we built systems around it. But it was crazy. Now, we are going through some transitions right now. We were doing short-term rentals for properties in New Jersey as well as here in San Diego. And we went through 2 different companies and we're looking at alternatives right now, interviewing today for long-term, finally considering that. Now, I guess some of the questions that I have are, every market is different, but as far as, like monthly fees, what does that typically look like that you see?
Yeah, so what most companies do is most companies set their pricing based on the noisiest, most difficult owners. So the most typical across the board, usually around the US, where average rent is maybe between $2,000 or $2,500 on a single family home, they're usually doing around 10%. When you start getting into higher rent markets, like, coastal areas, stuff like this, where average rent's $3K or $4K, they're usually doing something lower, like 8% or maybe even 6%, depending on how high rent is. Yep. That's pretty typical. What we coach our clients on is very different, because what one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is there's 3 types of buyers psychologically. So if somebody's going to a property manager, they fit into one of these 3 profiles. I call them the cheapos, the normals, and the premiums. Cheapos care just about getting the lowest price. They don't care. They're like, give me a garbage property manager. I don't care about the tenant. I don't care about the property really. I just want the cheapest price, right? And they're super price sensitive to everything. Those are usually the people you can get through internet marketing because they're at the end of the sales cycle. They don't care about word of mouth. They're like, I just want the cheapest company. It's a commodity. They're all the same, which is not accurate. So, and the cheapest owners usually try to manage themselves. They're like, oh, I'll do it myself. I'll save money, right? We've all been that guy at one point, right? I'll save money by doing it myself. And famous last words, right? And so then it's kind of like they're trying to gamble against the house and who always wins. the house. The house always wins, right?
Yep.
So then you got the normals. They're kind of in the middle. And this is kind of like Goldilocks, right? It's the Goldilocks principle. So there's something that's too little, too much, and just right, right? So the premium buyers, they care less about price. They care more about, usually premium buyers care more about better customer service, a better experience, to be less hands-on and have things taken care of. They're not as concerned about price. And then the majority, like 60%, maybe about 2/3, fall in the middle. They're kind of a balance between that. But most pricing in the industry for property management is based on the cheapos because they're the noisiest, they're the loudest, and they're the ones that most of these companies are finding through the internet. So there's this artificial race to the bottom in terms of price. And there's all these companies are usually filled up with really bad cheapo owners, which means they can't do a good job taking care of your property a lot of times.
Yep.
So healthier companies are pickier about the owners. They get out of the cycle of suck. They're picky about the owners. They filter those. They filter and are picky about the properties they allow in. And then they can do a way better job. And they have way better clients. And then the tenants are happier. And they're able to keep and maintain and place better tenants to take better care of the property. And so when people are cheap, they actually create the cycle of suck for their own properties and themselves with a property manager. So you want to find the property managers that are part of maybe a cycle of success. They're picky. They don't take on every client. They don't take on every property. They have boundaries. They have standards. They have systems.
What kind of eviction rate would you feel comfortable with?
What do you mean eviction rate? Like the percentage of the properties that are getting evictions?
Yeah, evictions or vacancies.
So most of my clients have very low vacancy because it's not difficult to keep properties rented out. I mean, unless you're in a market maybe like Florida where like things aren't even cash flowing right now, right? Then it could be a little difficult because the owners are wanting more rent than is probably possible. But in general, property managers don't have problems keeping things rented out. Getting tenants is not their biggest challenge. That's not a difficult thing for them. And then evictions, if they pick the tenants, eviction rates are generally really low. They're almost non-existent. The problem is when people bring tenants with the property and are like, can you manage this? I picked this terrible person.
Yeah.
That's where they start to have problems. So most property managers, especially the ones I work with, they will guarantee the tenant if they place it. And so if there's an eviction, they'll like take care of it. They'll cover it because it's so low risk for them and it happens so little, they're not even worried about it happening.
Okay. I like it. What else should we know?
So maybe one of the things to talk about is like, how do you find a good property management company? Where are the good ones?
Yeah.
So
you have connections out here in San Diego?
Yeah, we actually do. We know some property managers out in San Diego. So yeah.
Look it up. Send it over.
Yeah. So that's one way is just reach out to us at DoorGrow. Just go to our website, chat with our team or send us an email or something and we can help you find a good property manager, somebody that's going through our program, somebody that buys into our philosophy and they have healthy mindset, they have healthy teams, they build good culture in their business, which means they have a good product. And you know you've got a good property manager when they can tell you why, if they are selfish, you can trust them. I call it the golden bridge formula. So the reason my clients trust me is I tell them my whole purpose, my reason for doing what I do is because my personal mission in life is to inspire others to love true principles. That's my motive. I love learning what works and sharing it with other people. I would do that for free, for fun. I'm doing it for free, for fun right now. Like I love doing this. I love sharing and teaching what I learn. And DoorGrow allows me to feed my addiction to learning and spend a ridiculous amount of money on coaches, mentors, high ticket programs, masterminds, and to be able to learn. And I'm able to then take those things I learned and turn around and I get to teach the coolest people on the planet, which are entrepreneurs. And so I get to coach them. And that's super rewarding for me. I love doing it. And so my clients know that if I am selfish and I focus on getting what I want, my personal why and my mission, it's going to make them money and it's going to benefit them. And you want a property manager that knows why they're in this business. You want I coach our clients on making sure they know their personal why, because that's the actual product you want to buy from them. You want to buy from them their motive, their purpose. Because any property manager will do leasing and maintenance coordination and inspections, but will they do it in a way that if they are selfish, it's going to benefit you? That they're living in their own business in a way that they like doing it, and they're focused. They know what they're clear on their purpose and aligning their business towards that, instead of just doing everything they think they have to do as a business owner, because they end up miserable if they do that. But if they're aligned with their purpose, they love getting to do what they get to do. It becomes fun for them.
Yeah, that's good. I love it, Jason. Talk to me. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah. For those that are listening, like I know you've got investors that listen to you and they're learning cool stuff from you. If there's investors that you've got a decent portfolio, you basically have built a management company. It's just for your own investments. If you want to get access to more deals, a smart move would be to start doing third party, because you've already got some of the systems in place. You've got the mechanisms. You just need to know how to go to market. You just need to know how to actually make this a product that you can get third-party owners. And that's going to give you access to new deals, off-market deals. Mm-hmm. We've got a client that he convinces every third-party management client that comes to him to do seller financing deals, and then he takes over their property. So it can be a honeypot to just capture new deals and acquisitions for yourself. Yeah, then we can help you with that. And eventually, if you build it up big enough, even if you're doing it, you're an owner operator and you just manage your own stuff, you're going to get stuck operationally. You're going to hit that wall where it's like, I cannot find the right people, build the right team. I can't systematize this. I can't get the operations dialed in. We can coach and help with that. Like, we're really good at getting those pieces dialed in. And so, yeah, they can reach out to us. And so anyone can find me online at King Jason Hull on any social media. That's HULL. And DoorGrow, they can find us anywhere as DoorGrow.
Cool. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jason, for jumping on. Tons of wealth of knowledge here. And yeah, super helpful for so many of the listeners, I believe. Guys, if you want to get a hold of me, you can always do so on Instagram. It's Brandon Elliott Investments. Otherwise, our business page on Instagram, it's Credit Counsel Elite. If you are looking to get funding, learning how to do so, talking to the banks properly, getting up to 90% approval odds, up to $500,000 with rates as low as 0%, and something that could actually be repeated every 6 months per person, then check out creditcounselelite.com. That's creditcounselelite.com. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. What are you waiting for? This is the time. Do it right now, so you don't need to think about it later. You'll get the newest notification every single Monday when the new episode drops. Love you guys all for all the subscribes, all the 5-star reviews. You guys are amazing. Keep it coming and share this out. Love you guys all so much. Have a blessed week. We'll check you out later. See ya. God bless.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.